Hello everyone, I'm Chris Mazzillo Sorensen, and this is a review of Kingdom Hearts 3D. Now, I don't know about you, but Kingdom Hearts is one of my favourite game franchises ever. It combines everything that I kind of know and love, being Final Fantasy characters, and more Square-enix characters. Now, I know that these games have a bit of a stigma for having a rather overly convoluted story and lore, but don't worry, we'll get onto that later. Kingdom Hearts 3D, Dream Drop Distance, takes place shortly after the events of Kingdom Hearts 2. Despite the game coming like 7 years ago, it has been decided that Sora and Riku should take the Keyblade Mastery exam to become Keyblade Masters. Because, you know, they already fight really well with the Keyblade and taken down 2 of the big bads, so might as well make it official with a title and stuff. So for their exam, seeing as they can't advance the plot too much and already build up on what's happening, the characters go to worlds which are in a sleeping state, which also means the introduction of an entirely new monster type. Woo! Nightmares, Dream Eaters, or spirits, are the various variations of the beasts that you encounter in this game, ranging from bad to the good ones. Well, instead of Donald and Goofy following you around, thank fuck, you have 2 little monster companions that you can build up and become friends with. And every non-boss monster has a companion variant, so you can catch them all. Pokemon. It's a similar system to Final Fantasy 13-2, but instead of 1 monster being in your party, it's just 2 of them now. And this kind of works well because, unlike you may think, there's no single-handedly best monster to pick. Due to the different playstyles available through the combat system, there's no single best monster. It varies across various monsters, and it allows you to just kind of pick and choose whichever monster you want. Because no matter which one you pick, it won't hinder your gameplay that much. Sure, some are stronger than others, but every monster has its own flaws in some way anyway. Talking of the combat system, they've made a few changes with the addition of flow motion, where if you dash into walls, you can then jump off of them with greater height or speed, and this kind of happens for everything, including grinding up rails and spinning off of poles and stuff. And this greatly changes the way combat works, especially when monsters themselves have flow motion stuff off of them. At the same time, the addition of flow motion leads to the change in maps. Because of the ability to jump higher, faster, further, greater speed, you've got to change the maps to be bigger to accommodate for this. While this does also lead to treasure chest finding to be nearly impossible due to the maps being so large with various nooks and crannies, it does feel like a welcome change, and it kind of works. At least with this sort of flow motion system anyway. The best thing is, all the really rare items are located high up where you can only access them if you Ninja Gaiden your way up there by jumping off of the walls over and over and over. Or I think, you can work out some puzzle stuff, but Ninja Gaidening your way up is how you get through the game. The way the game works, having 2 main characters, is that you have a drop gauge. When this hits 0, your character drops, and you change into the other character wherever you last left them off. This is good because instead of just finishing a level as one character and then finishing it as the next, and just kind of going through them like that, you kind of do small segments as each character, and it feels more like the world is a living thing with the different characters, things they're doing, interacting with each other, and kind of crossing over a bit. So it feels more like an actual living world instead of just a level to complete. One annoying thing, however, is that you can drop in combat, even in bosses. So you could be fighting a boss, and it'll be on very low HP, but your drop gauge is getting surprisingly low, and just before you can get that last hit in, you drop. And when you eventually come back to that character, the boss's HP has reset, and you have to start all over again. This has happened to me once before, on one of the very final bosses, which was incredibly difficult, and just before I managed to finish it, I dropped, and it took me like another half hour to actually beat the boss. You could argue that the combat is quite easy, as there's never really a challenge in the game, as the only challenge I found was just parts when I'd find that I was incredibly underleveled, because I was like level 35 in the level 45 zone, because that's just kind of how monsters happened. I mean, that's true apart from the bosses, which can be incredibly difficult at times, especially the last 4 to 5 bosses, all in a row, by the way. Continuous end bosses. They're quite difficult, and it requires you to kind of take a moment out to recuperate, gather your shit together, and then eventually win, maybe. But when you do, it does feel like an achievement, and that's the thing. And now the plot. As we follow our two heroes around through their story, we learn that Sora isn't as much of a golden light as we all thought he was in the previous games. As it turns out, he has some dark secrets which even he doesn't really know about, and in this confusion and turmoil, he kind of ends up like running astray a bit, and this leads to his downfall. Why does he have so much confusion? Well, simply because he has like 4 or 5 people inside of him, essentially. And it's kind of crazy like that. Riku, on the other hand, may start to sound like a broken record, because he's going on and on about how he gave into the darkness that one time. Or 2 times, can't really remember anymore. But he's actually the one who managed to overcome his troubles. And, like, go character development sort of style. In the game, Riku is essentially the main character, and Sora this time plays the role that Riku used to play, being the damsel in distress, essentially. And hey, that's kind of fine with me. Change is always good. If you've not played some of the previous games, whether it be due to their re-releases not being released in your country, or whatever, there are times in the game where they'll mention a plot point from one of the previous games, and a little bit will pop up going like, hey, do you want to quickly have a recap of the plot of that game we mentioned? Here it is! Which is kind of cool, because obviously not everyone's played all the games, and the plot of them all is really heavy, and kind of all ties in together quite heavily. So having that as a reminder of the stuff that's happened in all the other games, pretty useful. And it does leave this game feeling very, very much so like a link in a previously on Kingdom Hearts, between Kingdom Hearts 2 and a possible Kingdom Hearts 3 coming soon. One annoying thing I did find is that we're back to yet another game where Sora and Riku are back to looking like they're 12 years old. We end up using the same models over and over again of when they're like really young in Kingdom Hearts 1, but this time with a new outfit. I much prefer the new models that were used in Kingdom Hearts 2, because 1, they look less dorky with their clothes, and 2, they look more like people. At the same time, as the series continues and introduces more and more unique characters, it gets increasingly jarring when you've got some colourful Disney characters just running around like being all Donald Duck in your face, next to like dark and brooding Riku, who's like, man, I shouldn't have given in to the darkness. And then Donald Duck's like, good morning, Your Majesty. Whatever he is. While the Disney characters are a thing that will obviously never be gotten rid of, it's still a really good game. It's actually one of the better spin-off games, if you exclude my bias for my love of Roxas. And hey, they even have unique levels for once. There's no Agrabah. I know, it's fucking mental, isn't it? It's a good solid game with like an obvious hint that there might be that sequel everyone's been waiting for coming out soon, just around the corner. Maybe in another 7 years.
Hello there everyone! Thank you for watching my video thingy that you just saw with your eyes, hopefully. Hey, if you want to watch more of my things, you can click on either of those two pictures, annotations. That'll take you to another video, either a review of a game or a review of an anime. And hey, if you want to find out more about my life and where I am at all times and why there hasn't been a video for a while, you can always go to my Twitter or even my other channel where I have sometimes weekly vlogs and anime reviews. Yay! See you next time.
Now, I don't know about you, but Kingdom Hearts is like one of my favourite... Kingdom Hearts... After the events of Kingdom Hearts 2. Fucking, that's wrong. What is wrong with me? Sure, Summer Oh my god, everyone is talking to me. They've made a few... Fucking what? At the same time, as the series kind of